Hello, welcome to my English class. My name is Ajay Hubert, a level 100 student at Fosu College of Education. Today, we are going to learn something about morphemes. Morphemes, an English word. Let's begin. So, one might have asked of what morphemes are. When we say morphemes, a morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit in a language. So, at the end of the lesson, we will treat morpheme as a whole topic. Alright, so let's begin. So, the contents for today's lessons are introduction to morphemes, the type of morphemes, and the application of morphemes. Okay, so introduction to morphemes. The morpheme is the first rank according to the constituent of relationship and the last rank according to the consist of relationship in the rank scale. So the definition of morpheme. Morpheme is the smallest grammatical meaningful unit in a language. As I've already said, it's the smallest meaningful grammatical unit in a language. Okay, it consists of linguistic elements that cannot be broken into further units. All right. So when we say a morpheme is not identical to a word. The main difference between them is that a morpheme sometimes does not stand alone, but a word by definition always stands alone. A word may be a morpheme, but a morpheme may not be a word. All right. A word may be a morpheme, but a morpheme may not be a word. So we can identify a morpheme by three criteria. One, it is a word or part of a word that has meaning. Two, it cannot be divided into smaller, meaningful parts without meaningless remainders. Three, it recurs in differing word environments with a relatively stable meaning. Okay, so the first one is saying that it is a word or a part of a word that has meaning. Okay, so we have examples. In English, the word stop cannot be broken into further units. So it's a morpheme. When a word cannot be broken into further units, it's a morpheme. Okay. In the same way, the following can be considered as morphemes since it cannot be broken. So we have cat, it, work, if, and, to, table, and many more. So there are basically two types of morphemes, which are the free morphemes and the bound morphemes. And under the free morphemes, we have lexical and functional. Under the bound morphemes, we have the derivational and the inflectional. So when we talk about free morphemes, the free morpheme is a kind of morpheme which makes sense on its own. So the free morphemes can stand by themselves and either tell us something about the word. Okay, so when we talk about the types of free morphemes, we have the lexical morphemes and the functional or grammatical morphemes. So the lexical morphemes, they are morphemes that can stand by themselves and either tell something about the word. And the functional or grammatical morphemes are morphemes that play a role in grammar. So the examples of free morphemes are eat, teach, date, week, work, and many more. So when we take bound morphemes, they are kind of morphemes that cannot make sense on its own. So bound morphemes are morphemes that cannot stand on its own and make meaning, but are used exclusively attached to free morphemes. Some morphemes need to be attached to a free morpheme in order to make meaning. So the type of bound morphemes are 1. Inflectional morpheme, 2. And derivational morpheme. So when we take the inflectional morpheme, an inflectional morpheme is attached to words to make the sentence conform to the rules of grammar. It involves the process which produces forms of the same word. So, when we take the derivational morphemes, the derivational morpheme is the morphological process of forming a new word from an existing one by the addition of a bound morpheme. A derivational morpheme changes the meaning of a word or the word class or both. Therefore, some examples of bound morphemes are dancer, works, boxes, warmer, and many more. So you are identifying the number of morphemes in a given word. Okay, so in English, the word stop is composed of two morphemes. That's stop plus the past tense marker. That is stop plus the ed. In the same vein, the word walk is composed of two morphemes. That's walk plus the past tense marker. That is walk plus ed. Okay. Similarly, we can say that went has two morphemes. Go plus the past marker. Sang has two morphemes. Sing plus the past tense marker. From the discussion above, we can confidently say that verbs in the simple present tense have two morphemes. Okay, so we are going to the applications of morphemes. Morphemes are important for phonics in both reading and spelling, as well as in vocabulary and comprehension. Okay, so these are some like questions I want to ask you. Okay, so the first one is explain the term morpheme in your own words. 2. State some examples of morphemes. 3. Try and identify the number of morphemes in the above stated examples. 4. Memorize the types of morphemes. 5. For your own understanding, figure out the importance of morphemes. Alright. Okay, so this brings us to the end of today's lesson. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, and share. Alright, see you next time. Bye.